Vincio. That's not my real name. I've been involved with virtual worlds for pretty much my whole life. Started programming when I was 9, living in Sedona. It was a computer at the library, which used tape, cassette to load the games. The games were kind of boring. Ended up learning how to program basic code on my own from there. Moved on to learning how to develop for a very, very big blue company called IBM. Was an engineer there, did a lot of development for robotic technology, a lot of coding in C, C++, and assembler. Ended up moving into management and the senior management, managed pretty much every type of discipline you can think of, architects to developers, then in the marketing teams, beta teams. Our division was on high-end servers. At the time, it was tape, and then tape turned into virtual tape. And then even today, tape is still a requirement for a lot of government agencies. So tape still is surprisingly a revenue stream for a lot of companies like IBM. But we moved into a cloud services, trying to compete with the cloud services that were coming out like Google, and also the Amazon architectural design was also becoming prominent. So that was my background. I was asked when I was managing a team there about 14 years ago to take a couple of our developers and go establish a business presence inside of a world called Second Life that was started by the Linden Lab team. At that time, our goal was to set up a data center in one area and a conference arena for our CEO, which was Lou Gerstner at the time. So I was very new to all this, but it didn't take long to actually develop using the tools provided inside of Second Life to create a good animation that was relatively realistic of some key concepts of our offerings, our development product offerings, being high-end, low-end, and mid-tier servers and software stacks that go on top of it as well. And we gave a couple tours, which was very painful. And then Lou Gerstner actually came in and gave a little speech about business of the future and how virtual worlds are going to be the way for businesses to cut costs and improve efficiency and velocity of the teams. Well, it never worked out that way. Not sure if you know Second Life's history, but they had a lot of big players sign up, a lot of music industry big players with pop artists, but that all fizzled out. A lot of it was adoption, wasn't efficient, didn't really help the fast-paced world of the business that we were in. It was mostly just gimmickal. It was more of a gimmick that did garnish some advertising, and that's about it. But I never left. I ended up actually I'm still there. I just got addicted to it. Not a lot of us don't know why we're addicted to it, but we spend a lot of time in there, and it's actually a very thriving world. And so my reflection on when I partake in these other endeavors is often based on what are the things that I see that make a lot of people want to continue to go back to the source of their game. In this case, I'm talking about Second Life and of course Upland and Uplift now, Sansar also, and well, we're basically have our thumb in all of it just to see what's going on and kind of talk through what we think is working, what's not working from our point of view. And I guess I should say our point of view. I may be only speaking for myself and Sipaku, because my other team members didn't join. And I think a lot of it you guys already know. A lot of it has to do with creating an environment that's engaging, that gives you something to do, that maybe if you're into something social, there's a social aspect of it. And also, if you're not social, which a lot of people in Second Life are not, just knowing that you're surrounded by people, and you can see their names, you can see them floating around, you can see what there's activities going on. Um, that also is a very attractive thing. So just if you're not social, but you're in a world that, there's nothing there, it's not the same as being a hermit, but knowing that there's a lot of people out there doing stuff around you, that you can kind of observe. So I guess from a sticky point of view, when I look at, what we wanted to do. We run a virtual music, venue, a live virtual music venue. It's been in different forms, meaning we smash it down and rebuild it all the time. But over the 14 years, it's always had some different type of form or different name. I think in 2018, we finally settled on the Red Door. We have hosted over 400 live, unique performers from all over the world. A lot of them become friends. We are always trying to get fresh blood into Second Life, and we've been pretty successful. We haven't really focused really hard on it, to be honest with you, but we brought in a guy named Anlik from Croatia who's doing really well there. Mars Utah, you may know Mars Utah. He DJs there, off and on, and now that's who I really need to get over here. We have another band called, the Nasty Hooks. Let me just, that's one guy I forgot to ping. Hold on. Can you guys join?
Yeah, we're in here, dude.
The Nasty Hooks are here?
Yeah, Nasty Hooks in the house. What's up?
Oh, yes. Right on. So I was the only one that didn't get the time change. I'm so oblivious sometimes, man. I blame it on the uplift. That's what I blame it on. I mean, I'm going nuts in there, building shit. So, welcome, Bird Bones. Are you with your partner over there?
Oh yeah, Big Travy's here. The Drizzle's here.
Yeah. Cool. We'll get around to you in a minute. So thanks. I'm glad you're here.
Oh yeah, man.
I'll just finish my background here and then we'll move on. So we still do that today. We had our last show just a couple weeks ago. We have another one coming up in a couple weeks. Actually, we're hoping again that the Nasty Hooks will grace us with their presence and kick us off, or maybe even get a better slot so they have even more people. But in general, we bring in about 50 to 100 live bodies in the virtual world for each show, and each show is 1 hour. And back in the day, we'd do almost 40 hours a week. We're really cut back on that, mostly because of my time, to about 6 hours every couple weeks. And in those 6 hours, you'll have, probably 20% of the players that showed up for the first show may stick around for the second or third show, but it's always full. So you can kind of guess that we're probably cycling 200 or 300 unique visitors through the Red Door on any given night, which gives us a lot of exposure to what people like and what they're into and why they even spend time in virtual worlds. So, and I know Second Life is much different than other worlds. So that's that. Our hope was to bring our performers into more advanced worlds, because Second Life is good for music, but it's not good for video. We moved into Sansar and had a couple of our performers test it out for us, and it was fantastic. It was designed for entertainment. It has very high definition videos, video capabilities. The building mechanisms are fairly easy, meaning that you can easily create a TV or a big screen, and then start streaming Twitch and things like that. YouTube, Twitch. I think YouTube and Twitch are all they have at the moment. And have a really good experience, a very high definition experience, low lag performance. The challenge there is that they don't have anything else going on. And so the population has not grown for the last year, and it's not really worth it to us to actually bring in our performers, because when we're doing that, we're actually paying them to play for us, to help us kind of get a feel for what is good and bad about a particular environment. I won't go into Upland, but Upland is doing a lot of good things to make that gaming loop happen. I know they focus very much on the gaming loop from a freemium point of view, and they're not shy about it. And so they give us just enough to get us hooked, and then they give us just a little bit more, but which is a good method, and we know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. And they have the promise of NFTs, importing NFTs, and they always deliver on their roadmap, which is very nice. The roadmap's clear, but we also know it's very lean and agile. And then Uplift, for my personal view, I'm still, I love the idea. I think it's clever to use off-the-shelf product and then kind of pseudo link it to Wax until you can actually create the code, if that's possible, to automate Wax drops. And I won't go too far into my views of Uplift right now, but so we keep moving on. But when I say successful, Lisa and everyone, I think we're players, or at least I feel like I'm more of a player, and we count on you guys, like the Blues and the Corys and the Dirks and the Linden Labs, or now it's Wookie, to put the framework together to allow us to express ourselves the way we think we can. And also, if there's profit to be made, that's fine too. But we're really dependent on how well you guys execute on your vision, so we can follow up with our vision. And sometimes it's very disappointing, frustrating. You can see a lot in Upland, which is, you got all these things coming out, but when they come out, they're not exactly what we thought they were going to be. We thought we'd have NFT shots by now. We thought it'd be like banging out live videos inside of Left House's little theater over there, things like that. But obviously that's ignorance on our part. Things take time. And so I'll pause there for a minute, and because that was a long introduction, and I don't want to take up all the air, as I know someone who's on the call is thinking right now, what I'm talking about. So I'll pass it over to Sipaku if you want to introduce yourself. Sipaku, you're muted.
Right. I should not be muted now, right?
You're good.
You can hear me? Yes, yep. Excellent. Well, so covered a lot of our background, of course. That's what we've done. And one of the things that I think, the only thing that I always say that Sir didn't say, is we're about people. Our whole endeavors, everything we do, inside of any of our virtual worlds, we'd like to bridge the gap between the 2D dimension of the game and let the people interact with each other, introduce themselves to each other, network. It's amazing how many different projects have come up just in Upland Nights, just because people met each other inside of the Upland Nights server and said, hey, let's do this together. Let's network. You have great art. I have great music. Let's put it together and make an amazing NFT. And I think that's important, having those communities, as well as the game, which is it's wonderful also for networking, but the socializing, as Sir was saying, it's not necessarily a mechanism of the game, right? You have Upland, and you can't even chat inside the game. So you have the Discord servers. You have all of the Discord servers. And the difference between Upland Nights and those, there are many, many wonderful fan servers, but we really have a niche. We love music. We love art. We want to keep music and art alive. And so that is what we concentrate on. We uplift everyone around us who does different things, Thank Me Later has a wonderful fan server about the properties and moving of the properties and what properties to buy, what collections to concentrate on. And that is their niche, and they're very good at that. And they have bots that search that out. So we just like to just break off to more personable and entertaining aspects of 2D gaming world and bring everyone together.
Thanks, appreciate that. And I don't know if we can do this, but I'd like to introduce the Nasty Hooks, maybe Bird Bones, and I don't know your names very well, so I apologize. I don't even know who you guys are, and no one ever sees me. I'm just a stick figure. But do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing and what your thoughts are about gaming, and why you're even spending time doing any of this?
Let's pop on here. First off, you guys got to deal with this guy in the back. Our power's out right now, so we're dealing with phone stuff. Right. Yeah, man, we're looking to get into this uplift shit. We're probably the biggest juxtaposition out of all the people in the room right now. I'd probably have to say, especially this dude to my right. We're a couple of comics and musicians, and he's really big into Minecraft. I just got really big into the whole NFT thing and the crypto thing and Upland. And now Second Life as well. We'll be performing there next Friday. Come check that out. But yeah, and we're looking to really get into this NFT stuff and kind of dive in, and Uplift seems like the perfect place for us to kind of integrate both of our passions of gaming and music and shit like that. So we made a song for it. And yeah, I don't know when you guys are going to play it or how we're going to do it now, because I obviously can't hear. So
I'll play it right now if I got
you got
the
the
power.
ability to do it, that would be sweet.
Yeah, we'll find out. Let me see if I could find it here.
We have weather.
Yeah. So now I see what you guys look like. Right on.
Yeah. It's about what you expect.
Your stuff is great.
The NFTs are going to be great, man. We're really looking to come up with some funny, interesting stuff and bring back that kind of retro internet vibe. I was just telling him we're kind of like Weird Al, Guar, and Daft Punk all banged and had a baby. That's kind of what the Nasty Hooks is. So we're kind of going to bring that vibe to the NFT world and make some really unique, cool, crazy stuff that hopefully you guys will like.
Right on. So I have it up. I'm about to ready to hit it, but before I start it, I have to ask. What we have here is like, what I like about this is that you guys are artists. I know there's music. Our collection that we have that's on Atomic Hub, which is called Girl Pinup Art, which is tagged as not suitable for work. We have 16 artists that contribute to that as well, but they don't know anything about blockchain. Some of them have learned a little bit, but they don't care about crypto or blockchain. But now we're seeing a lot of artists like yourself that are making creative pieces of work and now interested in NFTs. But I have to ask, I mean, like, what do you see that totally? Do you see where you're going with that as being a little bit different than, or not being a good fit for what you see as far as the technology that we are given, right? Like you and me, Thank Me Later, are all given what we get from the Uplift World team and the Upland team. I'd be curious if you guys are like looking at it saying, well, it's fun, it's good marketing, we get to meet a lot of people with similar ideas. Maybe we can figure out the NFT portion of this and get our music into NFTs and then leverage all the promises that that we get. Is that kind of where your head's at?
Somewhat. What are you gonna say?
I mean, like,
sorry, we gotta let him say something, or he's gonna.
I'll say everything. It's like to a greater extent. I'm pretty like that makes a lot of sense. The things that you had just said, yeah,
Right on.
That's the way this goes, man. Y'all got to deal with him, and then I just kind of translate all. What he was trying to say, though, is that I think personally, it's like a one of us type of mentality. Like we're part of this community, anyways. We're really into it either way. We would be into it if we weren't doing music, and we're like, oh, we have this kind of creative itch, anyways. Let's just put it out into here, and I don't know, share some of that wild and craziness. And then if you guys do like it, you can come along with us. But it's all kind of based in that one of us attitude. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And we have a performer. I don't know if you know him. Is Tuxa Oko, and he's a looping master. He's a one-man band basically. He just started. He found the Upland Action News broadcast with Left House, where Left House was playing his Tuska Oko's music as a background for a spinning wheel. And so now he's all asking me about it as well. I think it's great. I don't know anything about it. See, in my mind, here's my view. Because this is more for, as I say, my own decadent depravity. My mind is, I know I'm not going to make any money is where I'm coming. Okay. My view is that there's going to be some big players that do come into NFTs, the NFT world, and they're going to smoke us out. And somehow or another, we got to figure out how we can be part of that. But I kind of look forward to the day where, like I say this a lot, like a Nike or, a big company, Hilton starts using NFTs, and in our little world here, we're thinking, well, they're going to come into Upland, they come into Uplift, and they're either going to allow us to resell whatever they're selling, and we could be part of a business there. I don't see that ever. I don't see it happening as far as being realistic. So we definitely have. There's some people, it could happen. I mean, you saw Beeble, but Beeble spent 14 years of his life giving away stuff. I think that's the key thing from a gratitude point of view as well, which fits the theme for the Uplift team is, so in Second Life, I can flip properties good enough. I'm probably wouldn't been doing it for so long. I could flip enough to, bring in enough money to, be, 100, $200 a week or so if I wanted to. But it's work, and I hate work and this type of point in my career. And so I'm more about like who's doing cool shit and how can we fund them to do it. And I hear about all these games like an Uplift, for example. The overarching theme or secret sauce, as they say, is gratitude, which is always a good place to come from. Is with gratitude. But then anyone who's been around, you also hear the challenges that you just can't give. They have to somehow make money. They have the idea of this bubbling wax and this method that they're going to apply that circulates wax within Uplift. I don't see how that's going to work necessarily without a lot of people who just love going into Uplift and love doing what Uplift is going to let us do, which at this point, honestly, they take away creative. I'm not going to play the game of Minecraft. I'm not going to do that. So I don't know how many people would, but it's going to be curious. I'll be curious to see what happens going forward with you guys in the Uplift world. Because it sounds like you got a Minecraft player over here. So maybe we could team up and you guys can like create all the stuff that we need. How's that?
That'll work. That'll work. You put this guy to work in Minecraft, man, he'll be in there all night. I think you wouldn't believe the amount of people that if you just told them, hey, you can make even a little bit of money playing Minecraft, would be all in. So like, there's that aspect of it. And then the gratitude thing, and the kind of the cool thing about that, and like if you do have big people coming in, like you said, like Hilton or something like that, or even just big musical artists, it's like then we have the underground develop, which is kind of cool in and of itself, having an underground scene, you know what I mean? Like right now, everything's kind of underground, but if they do bring, big stuff like that in there, that'll kind of create that, which is kind of where we lie anyways. I mean, we're used to doing comedy in real dirty, shitty bars in the middle of nowhere. Basements, basically all the time. And with the whole NFT thing, man, like that's the coolest thing about it to us is if you think about the whole big problem with music is selling it, right? It's like, how do you make money off of your music today? When, with the whole Lars Ulrich Metallica thing with Napster and all that shit, it's like this kind of solves it in that your music's going to get stolen anyways, no matter what, if you're popular. So it's like, why not just give it away for free? And then you create this, it's almost like getting a sticker in a record back in the day or a little tattoo or whatever, like a poster. And the NFT kind of serves that same function where it's like you get this little collectible thing, you kind of give to the band that you like, you get something for it. You can maybe even potentially make money off of it later as a collectible. And it's something you can kind of interact with the band. Like our NFTs are going to be different videos of him doing weird, crazy dances and strange outfits. And they'll go along to our songs. So it's like you can create these cool little things and monetize your music or your creativity in different ways, while also kind of doing it in a fan-friendly, fun way, and not just being like, hey, come to my, you know, band camp and just give me $1 for my shitty song. Because half of our songs are shitty, you know what I mean?
They're all good.
They're all good.
Very good.
Yeah, and you never know. Anything could catch fire. That's what's so exciting about what's happening right now. I mean, we're just on the adoption phase of NFT, so we're all very early.
Exactly. That's the exciting part as well for us.
I mean, like 5 months ago, I was floating around OpenSea, looking around, trying to figure out why I even wasted $50 on gas to mint an NFT. And you know, there was a NFT called the Poop. And it was selling for 5 Ether. I was like, you know how much 5 Ether was? I was like, holy crap! I can't believe a little GIF called the Poop. It was just a pile of poop. You know,
that's basically what we're going for. We made a musical group that's the equivalent to the pile of poop. We're trying
that to me, that's the exciting part of this. You never know. I mean, there's a lot of rich people out there. You know, some old rich guy in Switzerland, you know, a multi-billionaire who has nothing better to do, and he stumbles upon, you know, an NFT with a pile of poop, and he decides, hey, I'm going to drink another champagne and spend $1 million on a NFT.
The way I always explain the NFT thing to people is like, it's like, think about the first baseball card. Like, you know, you bring that home to your parents, you're like, hey, I bought a pack of this. Your dad was probably like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Why would you buy a card with a dude's face on it? It has no value. It's totally pointless, and it's honestly kind of stupid. It's like the NFT is the same thing. It's just the digital form of that. You know what I mean? Everything's going to be digital anyways in, you know, 10, 20 years. So
yeah,
it seems like this isn't going anywhere.
No, it's not. Definitely not. And they're going to get even better. They can be programmable and things like that. All right, let me play this song. I don't know if Lisa's here. And I should have said hello, everyone. I see there's a whole bunch of people in here. We got Andreas, Max. We got Nye. That's an interesting name. I'm not sure if I said that correct. Oh, that's you. That's you, of course. And I love your jacket too. Vest rather. That's very cool. Very cool.
We bought that in the old lady section at a Goodwill.
Lenny, Devin.
All
right.
Yeah, just to introduce the song, then basically it's not like a normal nasty hook. We kind of just took this one and really went in an uplift direction for it and tried it. We read the lore of Uplift, and we know it's kind of space themed. And so we just kind of tried to get in the mindset of like, what's a cool, funky song that could kind of embody that first logging in kind of thing and getting into the uplift. And so that's what you're gonna hear now. But definitely, if you go check out our music, it's gonna be a little bit different.
All right, so I'm going to play the uplift song that was written, produced, and mixed, mastered by these two guys right here. Yeah. I should say that they also put out 2 other songs that were for Upland that were very cool. They're always different. They're always tight. You can tell they're mixed perfectly. And if you're anything like me, you can tell if they mixed it properly with the right frequencies and everything sounds really good here. This is called the Uplift song. Let me see if I can get it rolling here.
All right.
You might have to give me a couple chances.
All right, it's also on our SoundCloud if you need to find it.
No, I got it. Can you hear it?
Not yet.
Oh crap. Okay, hold on a second. Let me download it. I was just going right off of
I'll vamp for you. This is exactly how our first show went. It's the second one. We did an entire song, which is ridiculous.
With no music.
With no music, just purely a cappella. Great way to break us in. It's honestly perfect. Stuff. Very fitting.
All right. Now can you hear it?
9.
Jeez. Okay, hold on a second. How do I do that? Maybe I should send this over to Lisa or somebody who knows how to handle the Zoom thing better than me.
I'm not very good at it either, but I hear that you have to change your speakers.
Okay.
Dude,
let me do that.
If my power was on, I'd have it going for you guys right now. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying about those collecting the cards, because I know exactly what that's like. I used to run away from my parents at the grocery store to the comic book store next door, and got my very first I was a Top Cow fan. So it was like this journey that you got to go on your own and independence, and then you take it home, and yeah, you're right. Your parents were like, not worth anything. It's not, but it just means something. And then every time there was a pack of something, like with me, Garbage Pail Kid cards, or at the register or whatever, and I would just always snag that too. And there's something about it. There's just something about it. It's an adventure, and it's in your hand. And this idea that they'll be perpetual as an NFT is even cooler. Like that Garbage Pail Kid bridge between the physical and I was the first one to get there, and all the cases were gone in my city too. But it's a great way to bridge that. And I think that your NFTs is a great way to bridge the personality that you have and that artistic style that you have with your music. And you're able to create that fun little extra piece. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, you can look at this guy right now and tell he'll make some very interesting video footage. That's easy to say. But yeah, man, I'm waiting for Pokemon to come out with the NFTs. Then I'll really just lose all my ETH on that. Just dump it all immediately. Got to get that holographic Charizard.
All right, I'm gonna give this a shot again. I apologize, I didn't come prepared, obviously, which is unfortunately the way I roll. Let me go ahead and mute myself, and hopefully you guys can hear this coming up.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
You are no longer fungible. Please destination. Destination selected. Uplift world. Please sit back and enjoy your commute. The Nazi Hooks is not responsible for any loss of eyesight due to patient. Destination. Wax reserves completed. Wax reserves completed. Initiating emergency landing protocols. Thank you for traveling with us and enjoy the crash landing. Crashing down, halfway. Crashing down, crashing down, halfway. Crashing down. Keep exploring. You have now arrived on Uplift World. Pod ejection in 3, 2, 1. Ejection failed. Activating alternate access hatch. Message received. Would you like to party with the nasty hooks?
Welcome to the Hooks Blog, bro. This is the Hooks Uplift House Look party. Dude, the new guy, what up, man? Yeah, welcome to the pod, bro. Get some NFTs, some cool signs, different pics.
All right, right on. Hope you guys heard that all right. Can you guys hear me?
That was awesome. Yeah, it's a little fuzzy in Zoom, but I think we get the gist of it.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
look,
on
we'll
me.
look forward to
Yeah, good.
version.
Hey, Lisa, there you are. I didn't see you hanging out over there.
Yep, we're here. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you
Do
just
need
fine.
to... Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. Great job, guys.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Nice. Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, it's on SoundCloud as well, /Nasty Hooks.
Have you figured out how to make NFTs on that yet? I think I sent you some info on that.
On what?
You're going to make a NFT out of some of your songs you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. If you go on Atomic Hub, there we have a couple on there right now, but we're going to be doing a little drop tomorrow afternoon, I believe. With, I think, like 8 of them, different rarities and stuff like that. So
cool. That's going to be on Upland Action News. Is that where you're dropping them or where you're dropping them?
We're just dropping them, I don't know, just into Atomic Hub. So I'll drop that information at the Uplift server and Upland Nights and stuff too.
Okay, cool.
You guys know about it, yeah. That'd be cheap. Cheapies, some nice cheapies. You never know if it'll blow up one day.
Yeah. So we got a lot of time left, which is good because I wanted to ask about this topic as well. When it comes to the business, it's always good to target, have a target audience, right? So I always try to figure out what the target audience is for each of these. Well, I'll just say the Upland, Uplift, Crypto Voxels, and Decentralized, and also I guess Alien Worlds for that matter. It's obviously important for everyone to kind of target the PG-13 audience, but also figure out how to do it in a way that has the characteristics that get the adults into it as well. It's basically Hollywood. It's not a foreign film, which is pretty much why I find it a little difficult for me to get too excited about starting businesses in these particular worlds, is because what we do we're adult. It's almost like we just need an adult server for ourselves in this target that. But I watch people who are teetering on how to balance that, and I'll just give an example for Upland Action News. If Left House, his background is making film, him and his brother. And we've seen some of his films. We used to play them. We play them whenever we get a ticket in the Upland Nights Discord server. And they're adult. I mean, they're downright, I wouldn't mind my kids watching it, but I don't think my neighbors next door would want their kids like watching some of this stuff. So it's like, in my mind, it's like, okay. And then of course, a lot of the art that we have Girl Pit Up art, I would say about 30-40% of it it's beautiful. It's not porn, but it's very suggestive and I guess naughty, and some people would find it kind of offensive. In fact, I know they'll find it offensive. We get it all the time. We've been getting banned for 14 years because of what we do, but that's fine with us because we're going to stick to what makes us happy, and hopefully we can do what we've done in Second Life and make a lot of other people happy. But it's difficult because Second Life allows that. There's no not suitable for work, locations per se in any of these worlds. So my question, I guess, to everyone here, if you have an opinion, do you see your creative juices kind of thwarted back a little bit, thinking, well, God, I have this wonderful piece of art, or I have this song lyric or this concept, but it really doesn't fit into anything I'm doing in Uplift or Upland, primarily because it's an adult topic, right? Just open that up to anyone.
Beach, this is Uplando, and I didn't mean to speak for anybody in the uplift world, but I've been watching it and watching how it's been progressing. I know Second Life and have been watching it progress as well. And I really hope that there could be a 21 and over element. I think that you can pair that with your KYC in knowing that you are. The only thing that that would open up is for somebody to have logged in as you, be that a family member or something of that nature, and then exposing somebody to NC-17 or R plus rated content. But I do think that KYC plays a part in this. And for people in the crypto world, you know what I'm talking about. So I do hope that that element does come into play. I don't know if that's something that Uplift is looking for or even would entertain. But in terms of other games that have content that is above PG-13 level, that may be one aspect of going into it. That's just my 2 cents.
All right, thank you for that, Elena. Welcome, Tim. Anyone else have a comment on that? So I guess my thought is it's probably smart that I believe Corey had mentioned that they are going to be PG-13 all the way through, but he is cool about tasteful art. So there's definitely a line to be drawn there, which totally makes sense. I don't know if it would be here's, I'm looking at what it takes to build all these things. And I think I would be curious as to, well, like, I don't get the whole riding on rails thing. I think someone mentioned if you can make a little bit of money, in a game, then there'll be a lot of people who'll swarm to it and do that. And, there's a Bitcoin enabled Minecraft out there now. And I think that's probably pretty popular. This concept is a little bit different here in Uplift, where I think they're targeting, maybe for technical reasons, to get a minimal viable product out there. They're targeting the Rails as a way to identify or write code to identify hotspots, figure out where people are tracking and kind of reward based on some algorithm that somehow magically, well, it won't be magic. It'll be trial and error, tuning it, kind of like what Upland's doing right now with their economy, to figure out how to get a win-win-win. It's a tough thing to do if you have a user interface, but you don't have a user experience. I struggle with I don't care to ride on a rail to get wax. I'll just go buy my own wax. But I know there's a lot of people who will come in, ride on a rail for wax, and maybe even go visit something that was built. The challenge I see is that, I know they're working through this, is the creative versus survival mode. And survival is definitely the game aspect of Minecraft. And I'm betting that if they go all survival, that they'll definitely get the long-term users who like playing the game and like leveling up and crafting stuff. And that would be a good influx of players. But they won't all. But the overall feeling is that, or the message that I get is, but we're all about NFTs and alien worlds and all this stuff that are basically business-minded people trying to, like, what can we do to help Uplift succeed? Because if Uplift succeeds and Upland succeeds, then we all succeed. But I would suspect that, like Alien Worlds, Yates and that team, they'll probably hire someone to build a nice presence, like a nice engaging environment. But they're not going to be in there, I don't think, walking around promoting it and, saying hello to everyone, if there's a lot of people in there or not. And, that to me is like a challenge that's going to be interesting to see how Uplift gets past that. I mean, they have a lot of hurdles, but I love the way they think about how to address them. It'd be interested to see how they can address them. But again, you have the user interface, which is the Minecraft, but there's no user experience just yet. The only experience I've had is the ability to be in creative and have fun learning more about Minecraft, but also building something, and while I'm building, thinking about how it benefits what we're trying to do. And I don't know. I mean, what is, they say secret sauce is gratitude. But there's also the part where you gotta wanna buy into a vision that you can see happening in front of you, that you can contribute to. And I think Uplift is finding that out right now, what it is to make Uplift appealing, besides these exciting hyped up these hyped up rail sales. I mean, you see, it's so funny to watch how everyone has to figure out how to generate some revenue to keep things going, and it's fun to watch the different methodologies used by Upland and and all these other groups, but and Uplift as well. But do you guys actually see a future where Uplift plays a key role in NFTs distribution, and links it properly to a mechanism that not only rewards players, but also has enough hooks to generate enough funding to continue to reward players, and is what they're offering broad enough to attract people like me versus my kids who would like to go build or play the game, but don't give a hoot about wax or anything like that. Because if the target market is NFT, crypto, wax earning type people, that population is going to continue to grow, but it's kind of small right now. I wonder what's going to happen in a year or two, I guess is my thought.
Hey, could I respond to your question?
Yes.
So, oh man, yeah, it's really interesting to see what's going on here. In some of these games, there's a terrestrial legal entity, meaning a central authority that's running the experience. But there's this absurdity because they're running the architecture on a decentralized platform, which is public in nature, person-to-person transactions. You can have very little accountability. So it's almost, there's this absurdity there. Like why even have it on the blockchain if it's ran by a central authority? And so for me, I'm like, you're going to bring all these people in, and they're going to buy up these NFTs because they want to have some property in this system, but it's in a central authority. Like, why don't you just have them on a spreadsheet and just have them give you some cash? So there's something absurd there. But what will happen, I think, is over time, if they don't decentralize it, they're going to have some of these problems with people coming into the server because they weren't explicit in the terms. So they weren't explicit that certain behaviors aren't tolerated, right? Someone's going to do some large nude figurine, and all these people are going to freak out about it and be like, well, it's like, what are you going to do, right? So what I think that'll happen, there'll be fractures, and all those NFT holders will eventually get dropped another key for another server. And that's kind of intrinsic. You see that in blockchain since day one with Bitcoin forks, where users don't agree with the consensus, so they split. Yeah, anyway.
That's through governance, like wax P governance. I mean, is there a mechanism Uplift is looking at to provide decentralized governance for that?
They haven't explicitly said that. I'm not sure what their views are on that. I think that's something the community would eventually need to bring up. I think right now they're just trying to get things working, and then maybe they'll figure it out down the road. But yeah, it's it's being ran as a terrestrial legal entity, and so they're going to come up with all sorts of there's a lot of problems with that.
Interesting.
Corey said that there would be governance for anything except the core game mechanics, or that which significantly, influence or destroys the economy. But each region or town can govern as they want for anything else.
Yeah, I love that concept of also just the network effect. So just because you make NFTs like doesn't mean anyone's going to buy them. You need to have a community of people that that are close to you, that there's a lot of eyes on it, because if you don't have a lot of eyes on it, like no one's going to buy it. So in the same way, like right now there's a lot of eyes on these big money making projects, but if there isn't like a real network effect, if there isn't a real community of value exchange, and it is really centralized, and there's central actors, I'm not necessarily sure if that'll work out in the long term. But if anything, if like there will be kind of a governance, or not a governance, there will be a consensus that happens if people don't like what's going on in the game. Like I said, they're gonna just airdrop another NFT to all those people that are holding those NFTs, and they'll be able to log into a subsequent server. But yeah, interesting question.
I have a question regarding that. So if I purchase so the problem Upland has that they're going to fix now is you get a swarm of interested players. They get into the game. They end up minting property on the blockchain, getting it up to Uplanders, so they technically own that property. They don't have to go through the passport or visa thing. And then they get sick of the game, they leave, and we have a bunch of dead properties with no way of actually freeing them up. So Upland's looking at being able to set up a will. So basically, when you own property, you have a will that says it goes to this player if I never come back around after a year or something like that, or 2 years. Is Uplift thinking about that as well? Because you could technically sell a bunch of properties and then they all are dead. Why not just do instead of selling the properties on a blockchain via basically just an NFT is all it really is, that promises you'll have permissions, then why not have those expire? I mean, like for every, like I would lease a property, I'll buy an NFT for $500, and that gives me 1 year of use on this property. And if you see that, if I don't renew, then you take the property back and you free it back up. Has that been thought about at all?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about in the game. We've thought about making smart contracts that do that. They call those like dead man switches. So if you don't push a button every day, then it would forward it to another person that has a permission on your keychain, or switch over the owner permissions to a new account. So it's definitely possible, for sure.
I haven't heard it in the Telegram. Right, the hype is so big right now. No one is thinking about that's even possible. Right, everyone wants to get in and build. So I think that's not on the agenda, but it could come up if it goes where it's looking to go. Then it will happen that this comes up for sure.
The way I see the Uplift is a bit like a newer version of Facebook in its early days, where people can have communities that come together, make friends, hang out with each other, but promote their brand. And I think that this, because the decentralized communities were brought in early on to build out a cluster that this has really become, the community aspect and the friend aspect and getting to know each other has become a really big part of the culture there. And these communities have a lot to be grateful for from each other, because they are all helping each other in many different ways. So the creative mode, and honestly, if I never hear creative or survival again, I'd be happy, but I know it is an issue, but seriously. But that natural ability to want to create, I think, is definitely intrinsic among the people in the decentralized communities. That's literally what we're all doing and focused on. And so I think a lot of us want to keep creating and keep that going. And honestly, when I first heard about it, I just thought people were going to visit and hang out. It didn't occur to me that they would be mining on the land. And I know that sounds crazy, but I wasn't a Minecraft player, and I just saw it and saw what I thought it could be, right? So I have to step back and go, okay, well, people who know how to play Minecraft will love this world. And so, okay, let's give it to them and see what happens. And I understand that, you know, the things that we build on our lands can be protected so that, you know, the core and whatever functionality we add to reward people who are visiting and so forth. But it made me realize it's less for me as a creator and more for the community that is, you know, authentic to that situation. And so from that standpoint, it's like, you know, whatever brand we're working on there, we're having a presence and trying to carry forward the concepts and history and tradition of that community so that the 131 million Minecraft players who want to can come in and interact with it. And that's probably true in Facebook or Twitter or Telegram, maybe less so, but, you know, different places where you can have a presence and be, you know, posting and sharing content. It's just more of a 3D virtual way, getting us ready for all of that, which is to come in the future. So, yeah, kind of like you're in all those, you know, different virtual realities. I tend to think that's going to be more of the way. And then how we connect those, that's a platform for us to create these membership programs and create these engagement opportunities and welcome the new friends that we have from these different virtual spaces.
May I interject? Really, not interject. May I piggyback on what you were saying, actually? I hope you can hear me, because I'm going to go. So I'm wondering if there may be, listening to you, I know exactly what you're thinking and exactly what many people are thinking. It's like a creative medium. It's like any other way to create art: clay, canvas, Tinker Toys. These look like Lincoln Logs, right? But is there perhaps a disconnect with the game creators and their idea of what Minecraft gamers are?
Can you elaborate on that?
Exactly. Yes, sir. When I think of Minecraft, because I have a few friends who just are addicted to Minecraft, right? They're talking about all the zombies they ran from and all the spiders they were able to avoid, and the mining aspect and creating ways to survive in the world. And that may be why there's more people who are like, oh, I would love it to be survival mode. I would love Uplift to be survival mode, because I've heard those arguments, as you said. My apologies for bringing it up again. Lisa, I heard those arguments, but I wonder if it's not because of that disconnect with what artists see Minecraft as and what gamers see Minecraft as, and how are they really going to pull millions of Minecraft users into Uplift? That's my question.
Let me take a shot at that, and I'm sure I'm wrong, and I want to take a shot at it first so someone can correct me. So you're right. I think there's people like us who just want to be in creative mode all the time and try to do what we can to leverage the functionality that we get to create the coolest plot that would give people a reason to come visit. And that plot would also extend, at least from our view, bridge between games. That's kind of what we look at, right? We want to bridge between, the nasty hooks don't be stuck just in Uplift. They want to have a cool experience for players, and so they get introduced to the music and they can find ways within the Uplift game to interact with their collection, and maybe even do block explorer sales that are linked into Upland. That's kind of where I think you're talking about. So we want creative. Then you have the players who are like, oh, I'm kind of new to this thing. I get wax. Now I know what wax is. Cool. If I play this game, I could play the actual Minecraft game, in survival mode and, and earn wax. And I think it'd be fine if anyone who's in the creative mode doesn't earn diddly squat. Our job is to give to the community, even support the community through funding. And I'm sure we'd all be happy to do it. We dump hundreds and hundreds, once upon a time, thousands a month just to, do stuff at the Red Door just because it's fun. But there's got to be a reason for it. So if the creative people can be free to be creative, and then you get the players who are free to play the game in survival mode and find ways to interact with the creative mode, I think that's a good blend. But then it brings up the question of this: if the survivor mode is, where you can earn your NFTs and your wax, then, and I think it's going to be down to, just running on rails, unless there could be like some wax benefit by working and buying something from Greg at his shop or something. I don't know. Why not just open up survivor mode and then, I'm not sure if they're going to distribute wax, by using an algorithm or where it automatically rewards you or whatever. But don't leave that open to anyone that's in creative. And maybe that would be a nice blend. I'm curious what other people think.
I'd like to say, I think there's some misunderstanding on the mechanics. I mean, it's all theoretical, right? It's all daily changing, but as I'm aware right now, it is the owner of a plot of land or a plot of rail gets a reward in wax when someone is on that plot, some player, and the player gets at the same time a reward. So it's not like the player is paying the owner or something. It's that's this win-win-win, right? So of course it could be implemented like optional thing. So the landowners say, we forfeit our reward and give just more to the players or something, right? It could be a mechanic, as much as you can say, we allow players on our plot to be able to build. There could be a switch to change these parameters. And also it's been talked there will be worlds in creative and there will be worlds in survival, so servers, and the only disconnect between those worlds will be that you cannot initiate trade between creative and survival, of course, because then you could just destroy the market in survival worlds with those free magic diamonds and whatever, right? So, but of course you can travel between these worlds, and so the creative worlds would be like these hangout places full of magic and whatever interaction community platforms, and the survival worlds would be, I don't know, the same but more focused on maybe activities together or something. Though there's talk about this, it's all not set in stone, but this is, I think, as far as I'm aware of the current state of the discussion.
Right. I think that the landowner always has the permissions, or the landowner's builders has permissions to still create on that land. But then traveling throughout the world would be in survival mode. Which honestly, with zombies and mobs and stuff, it's not really that, it's not my thing, right? I'm, like you're saying, I prefer to create, but I can stay and create. Although I have to say, it's been one of the best parts of creative mode is been hanging out with other people who are also building in both creative and survival. Although one actually teleported to me who was in survival and fell to his death because I was flying. So there are some issues with that, but it would be fun if there were places you could go where that, where it stays in creative, where you're not battling zombies and you can just hang out, at the club or whatever with each other. I think that would be great. However that could happen.
I'll jump in really quick on that. Just the idea that kind of incentivizes people creating safe zones in the survival that are connected on that rail system. So like, like a tavern or even like a small city that's completely enclosed, and then they can have it all well lit. So you could just go hang out in there. So they can still you could create that still in survival and create that creative feeling. But, people can still go outside the city walls and go do their thing if they want to go, fight stuff.
Yeah, to follow up on what everyone is saying, I understand the problematic issues of having a survival world, but as a early adopter to Minecraft, it's enjoyable. I understand where people would see it be tedium and not really appealing. I like the idea of having a safe zone merchant place and then being in a survival mode where I'm mining precious minerals or things that could be taken back to a safe zone or a marketplace and then sold to upgrade my digital assets, to have better weapons, to have better mining. And I think that blend of the two would serve it really well. I really like the idea of going out into a survival environment and being rewarded, mine and loot type of situation, and then having a marketplace to go back to for my goods, for my raw materials, that then the marketplace or the vendor can take those raw materials and, like we've seen with NFTs, build cards. Then you're actually taking those cards and making something another level or another advancement with those goods, and then offering those on the marketplace. I like that idea, and I think that has a place in here, but I don't know what the future of that and the reality of that actually holds.
Yeah, Chicken Kaha is supposed to have a marketplace. And we've talked about when people mine in Crownlandia, potentially they could then take their goods over and sell them, and the rewards of those mined goods would go into the Crownlandia pool, because a good portion of the Crownlandia audience they're not able to get into Minecraft for any number of reasons: computer, internet, wireless, time. And so, we were thinking that maybe that would be an interesting and sustainable solution.
To follow up on that, on the Hook's point, if you have some place that you can engage those type of Minecraft players with, I think that's extremely appealing. And I like what you said, but the missions, then you could have a merchant that would need more resources, that they could have access to a missions list and offer those missions as a bounty or a reward. Thus, interaction with the survival mode and the marketplace mode, it keeps that interactivity going. And I just think it creates this, a giant, more interactive world. I think that's when I was in Second Life and I had attended a Duran Duran concert or something to that effect, or when early on you had these avatars that you could float around into the world and interact with an avatar that was a fish or something that mouth was moving around. We're so much more evolved now, and I do think that there's a place for all of this, and I really have really high hopes for Uplift and what they're doing, not only in the gameplay, but what they have for the charitable and giving back, and I really hope that all comes to fruition.
I definitely think that if the community or a subset of the community doesn't agree with the rules, they can either fork the server, because I'm sure there's going to have to be backups of the server. Whether they'll make them public or not is something else. But either they have their own mechanics. Maybe they want to make it only a 21 plus world. Maybe someone's like, oh no, PG-13, this isn't right. It needs to be G rated or something.
We lost you, Max.
Oh, sorry about that. Or they can airdrop and add, say you can log into this new server with your existing keys, And in this new world, you get 5 times as many rewards, or maybe it's all creative. Yeah. Anyway, some really interesting mechanics will happen if the community doesn't agree with the central authority.
So Lisa, I'm not sure how much time we were given. Are we running over, or we're good to go?
You're great. You can go as long
Okay.
as you want. We have
All right.
had a couple hours on the schedule just in case, so you can go as long or as short as you want.
I want it all. So, I mean, it's great to build something, but like Sansar has exactly what I want, but there's like, the same 40, 50 people in there every time. And, to me, it's like, what can we do to make Uplift successful in like bringing people in, not just buying rails and sitting on the sideline. And I do agree now, and I didn't agree with this before, but I see that survivor mode is the user experience that might make that happen, as opposed to creative mode, where it could be like Tim was saying, the merchant area, and there could be a good, nice blend there that's never been seen before, if you can make it work, because then you can track the businesses, the creators, and then you also track the gamers all in one shot. I like that idea a lot. Now I just hope Uplift can deliver, because it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's totally enjoyable. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, obviously. And it's fun to see how people make decisions at the top to get things done. And some of us kind of sit back and say, is that even possible? And then we research it. Do they have an API to control actual disbursement of wax in a way that they can hook into the code and track hot spots or times, or if someone hit a certain block or not, and do automatic rewards? I couldn't see anything like that, but I'm sure hoping that the Uplift team is on top of that to figure out how that mechanism works. And I know they have to also focus on how to create use the boundary plugins to protect what we create, so no one comes up and just starts destroying everything. So it's a lot of fun stuff I think Uplift has to work through. We looked into the Bitcoin mine server just to see what they were doing, and they're not like doing what Uplift is proposing. They're basically just using your computer processing powers to mine Bitcoin while you're in Minecraft, and you're not doing anything actually. So it's just like downloading an app to, as we all used to do, go mine a crypto. But they just integrated that into the tool. Where Uplift is different is they're not this tagging, linking your computer processing power to some data center engine that's gonna, start mining, and then all the disbursement of Bitcoin mined would then, be delivered. They're actually trying to figure out how to trigger activities, not just being paused so they can use your computer processes, but they're trying to track users who are doing certain actions, and trying to create a way of automating disbursement of funds for that, which is going to be, if they can do that, I don't know of anybody that's done that, but I don't know, maybe there's some way of doing it, but that's going to be cool to see for sure. It'll be revolutionary if they can figure that part out.
I would like to paint a little picture of what I have in mind, and I would like to hear Nichiren, his opinion, because you're in so many virtual worlds, and I am like super new to this. So I just bought some rail and some land, and looking to get a lot of no coiners, basically, that have nothing to do with crypto or virtual worlds, maybe into Uplift by incorporating some real world projects, basically as a kind of a fundraising effort to represent them on the lands, on the rail, as kind of tangible and experiences to interact with, or maybe like gamify, and to like a practical way, like to start up an permaculture orchards and gardens, for example, or to partner up with a tree conservation project that is planting a lot of trees around the world. So And those will be probably in creative areas because people will be afraid of getting killed by zombies, right? That's so one is low threshold. So people feel safe, right? They come in and they don't have that maybe irrational fear when you're not a gamer, you don't want to die. It's like that's bad. So and then after maybe they walk around, they make friends, they meet people who will tell them about that that exciting survival thing, and maybe someone would take them into that survival world and show them that's not so bad and what can be done. So it will be like an organic onboarding experience in a playful way, and yeah, people make friends and try that out. And so maybe like that's how that could work, and work out at the start. So yeah, that's what I think, and would try that out. You think like all kinds of people will find a niche and find a low threshold entry point, I think.
So I have two comments on that. Like we always say, it's always up to us to make that happen. As you know, I wouldn't rely on Corey or Dirk or anybody else to make. We're in my mind, we need to keep them on this, make sure we're feeding them our views so they can make good decisions, and hopefully they make the right decisions. But what you're talking about is exactly what we do, and we do it very well. And I know Lisa does this real well as well. We create an environment that people want to come hang out in. And we do that very well. Like I said, we do it super well in Second Life. We've done it in Sansar. We wish we could do more with there. But that requires us spending a lot of time building community ourselves, bringing people in, making what we're doing interesting to them. But if Uplift doesn't attract the type of people that are into permaculture, for example, which I think that's really awesome. And you and this other guy that is always on this DAC show, I can't remember his name, a lot of permaculture people in here, a lot of earth focused type people. It's really nice. Then it will be successful. I mean, you could have our first club was a really crappily, I made it. So it was junk. I just whipped it together, but we created the hype and we brought all the right entertainers in and had all the right triggers as far as what people wanted. There was some gamification to it. There was live music. There was an adult theme. It's still an adult theme, no rules. So our target market was everyone gets banned from everyone else. They come hang out at the Red Door. That's kind of what happens, right? And so, so we created that. We want to try to create that elsewhere. And I see everyone else trying to create that kind of feeling in their little part of the rail. I think that's awesome. You could definitely build a community, but only if other people are doing the same thing. And there's a lot, then you get a feel there's like a lot of communities out there, whether you want to go to them or not. And Uplift continues to put out enhancements that are feasible. Because again, the Red Door, if the Red Door existed tonight and I went in and there's nothing else going on in Second Life, we would be done. Because like I said, mentally, a lot of people don't necessarily want to go to, the church on Sunday in Second Life, or, a book reading or a poetry reading in Second Life, or a car race or a boat race. But they like feeling that, wow, I'm in this big world. There's a lot of stuff happening out there. I'm in New York, hiding in my little room because I really don't want to go out because I'm really happy moving my furniture around and buying new furniture and looking at my NFT cards. But I know if I look out the window, Lisa's out there doing cool stuff over there, and Nancy Hook's doing this and that. And you just feel it. It's more of a feeling inside of an environment. And Sansar can't do that. They can't figure out how to do that. And Upland is struggling with that to the point. Upland's struggle is kind of that, because it's in world, there's nothing to do. You're floating around spending lots of money in blue boxes, right? And but we all have this dream of what we can do with those blue boxes, and we're all fighting to make our neighborhoods, the best neighborhood out there, so it's the most enjoyable. But everything happens in Discord for them right now, and they see the value of that, and they've really enhanced that. You know, they got the UCN members. You got Sipaku, who has an official Upland Nights server, and they linked giving away. I mean, you know where I'm going with this. You know, Uplift would be great, but it has to have lots of people doing great things. And so I encourage you. I'd love to see what you put down and make happen. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who'll jump in and help promote that, especially if there's something going on. You know, they actually have permaculture groups in Second Life, and they hold educational, like a lot of educational seminars at those spots, and those do really well. I think. So if I was in Uplift building something and I heard that you're going to have a permaculture meeting on Sunday at 9 o'clock, and you're going to talk about how we can use less water and optimize. Actually, you could probably tell me how to. I've been trying to turn my pool into an eco-friendly pond for 3 years. It's just a big cesspool of mosquitoes and 3 big fish. But you know, I wanted to make it all solar and self-contained and not use any electricity. Haven't figured that out. But if you had like a session on some aspect of permaculture that was interesting to me, I would probably come and bring a few friends who are also interested in that as well. That's a lot of yapping, Lisa. When are you going to shut me up?
I think you nailed it. It's these are all fun experiments, but it's the community, right? So it's interesting that this one has maybe a whole bunch of different communities. The community here doesn't seem like it's really a Minecraft community, right? So, you know, there's that community, but without that community, you know, how far is the experiment going to go? I'm definitely going to support the permaculture education. I think for your pool, some solar and put some aeration in there, and it'll be a good first start.
Yeah, I need to pick your brain. We've done that. My pumps keep dying on me, and I don't have a good method for figuring out how to auto cleanse. I've probably talked to you. We pump the water out into a well-defined area that has rocks and pebbles and things like that to clean the water. But I have others. I'm just too stupid. I'm honestly, and probably too lazy. I probably need to figure. But the pump kind of gave me the problem. But you know a lot about this as well.
If you do a pond, that's kind of like a self-contained closed system pond. That is like building a spaceship. That's like the most advanced kind of system you can build, because you have to take into consideration your weather patterns all year round. You have to take into consideration the porosity of the ground, of the body of water, right? The moisture, the precipitation, and that has to fit with all the species that you have in that pond. And then you have to balance this out. You have to have a lot of knowledge about your climate and your weather and your temperature range on that spot where you are. And then you have to know all the local species that will work together so you don't have to have a pump. That is basically, you want to balance the system out so you don't have to have a pump, because the fish so the stuff has to eat itself, to keep itself clean. You don't need a pump, because you don't have a pump in any other natural system, right? But if you create it yourself, you have to be as smart as nature. And that is like, it takes some experience with species. Either you have someone that is local that has watched a lot of these things, or maybe you meet some old people that have some fish farms, maybe, and have watched some of these systems or something. But I met someone who designed ponds, and he had like permaculture ponds, right? And he had made like 5, and he showed me his iterations and he showed me this first one and his second. And when he showed me his 5th one, I said like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And this first one was still working, right? But the 5th one was so much more advanced. And like the selection of the plants you use and the selection of the fish and you use, and then it will attract certain birds, and but it's really, that's the most advanced system I can think of to create. It's much more easier to create a garden or like an edible forest that's easier because the pond has like the underwater environment, the sides of the pond, the ground of the pond, and then stuff that lives on top of the water. So that's like 4 habitats all in one. So it's like, that's an ambitious project. Just saying that.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to buy one of your friends' spaceships instead of building one myself. You're absolutely right. We were just doing goldfish, and we were hoping that all the plants that we're putting in there would balance out the crap that's being left in there. Yeah, so I got a lot to learn, but it's fun. And the fact that you tell me I'm going to fail really is great, because you're probably correct. And that's that. But I have hope, and I have hope for Uplift, and I'll probably fail there as well. But hopefully it's not like building a spaceship, and I can learn from you guys if you actually do have permaculture meetings. And
I'm just saying, like, don't get depressed if you fail,
No.
right? Like, expect it and enjoy it, because it's like that's, you can expect it, and get some friends and like enjoy it and fail over and over until like it gets better. So like, I don't want to discourage you.
David, you don't know me very well. I'm totally cool. I like failing. Yeah, I think everyone knows failing is the best thing in the world. So it's more fun failing than sometimes winning. So yeah, I wasn't taking that personally at all. I was just chuckling at the fact that a lot of stuff we do is, we fail a lot, and and we continue to do it because it's fun. But yeah, did you have something to say, Seppuku? You're on screen there.
Actually, on screen. I only wanted to do voice. The interesting thing is, I was taking all of this in, and I was thinking of the pond and this ecosystem, and of course, that's what we need an Uplift, right? We need the right pond, and I think that's what Uplift will need to do. They need to develop an ecosystem in which they can make gamers, true gamers who are in the Minecraft community, want to come in. So those missions are going to be, that's going to be the draw. And those missions can be on people's land who have their art. Maybe they have a separate area or something like that. But that way you get the creators like Lisa, who just love building things, but they were able to build another little space that people can survive zombies on, and not just take rails to view the world in kind of spectator mode, because that's what Minecraft gamers are all about. They're about the game, and you don't want to destroy the game.
I want to point something out real quick, and it's the last thing I want to say in this. We just experienced something that's lacking in most of these games, and that is David basically onboarding Niche on his pond. This is a problem with all new players. In Upland, they have literally leveraged the community to do all their customer service and support.
Yeah.
When you go into Upland as a new player and you ask questions, you have an entire server, not just one, but you've got Niche's and Seppuku's server, and all these other servers with channels that are dedicated to this game. The passion is there. And so one of the biggest hurdles for me in Uplift is going to be that onboarding. It's a problem in Upland right now. People get discouraged very quickly, and you have players dedicating hours of their time to not just the gameplay, but to helping and onboarding new users. That's the one thing I could leave, on the table here. Got to help those players get acclimated to your world, because their time spent in your world, in a matter of moments, they're going to decide whether or not they're going to stay or not. And that has to be upfront. You've got to be an inviting place. You have to have an inviting world, and you just got to help out. That's my 2 cents worth. But that was perfectly an example of what just happened on the exchange as onboarding, in my opinion.
Tim, you're right. Not only are people helping, but they're collaborating on music. They're collaborating on things outside of Uplift that they talk about that could come in Upland and things like that. So yeah, you nailed it. I shouldn't even piggyback on that and destroy what you just said, but again, it's up to us to make that happen and Uplift. But to some degree, it's also up to Uplift to figure out how to get us involved or get players like us involved and excited to actually contribute another 12 hours of our time, sitting around on a Discord or inside of a virtual world and trying to help people like that. Because you get there's a lot of people in Upland, so it works out well. And that's another thing I want to say. When you research Minecraft, some of the biggest servers talk about the biggest challenge, which is you got to constantly bring new blood in, because everyone gets sick of Minecraft at some point and stops playing, and so you have a dead user base, and you constantly need to replenish that, and that requires an environment where people really are flooding in and learning about something, and then if they decide to drop out, they drop out. Upland has the same problem. Lots of people come in, majority of them stop playing after a while, and they may pop in to see how their property is doing, but they also bring in a lot of new players. And for the experienced players like us that are on the call, we are more than happy to help them out. It's fun. We need them when we have competitions. We need to have those network of as many people as we can. So it's to our advantage to do what we can to bring as many people into Upland, and also to keep them there, and get excited about what's being released, and collaborating and doing things like that.
Incentive.
I kind of get triggered by Upland because I was drawn in by the free-to-play promise, and so I come in there, and now I'm like this click slave. I get to mint free properties for free, and then I have to click every day to get my free UPX or whatever. And if I forget it for 5 days because it's so fucking boring, then my account gets deleted. So I feel really pissed. Now I'm just going in there every day and clicking that renew visa, and it's like the bar, because at 10,000 UPX that I somehow scrounged together for this free to play, I get to be a Uplander, right? So I get to upgrade to pro account for free. So I don't know, I don't see that working out, and I can totally understand why they get players to leave in droves, and they have the problem that they get dead properties, because that's not a nice way to treat players, to bait them in with free to play, and then to like have them as press button and bored to tears. I'm not a big Discord fan, so I can see maybe others aren't neither. So if you don't get involved into the Discord community, then it's not really much fun. And so point I bring it up, like to each their own, but like I see Uplift is very much different in that way, because it's not even free to play, but it's actually play to earn. Like it's completely the opposite in kinds of player incentive, and so I don't think it's really comparable in kind of, even if there was no onboarding, like the players would just go in and try, like where could they go, what would happen, would they earn wax or how much or whatever, right? It's like a bit of a different experience, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can appreciate that, David. What you just described is the story of everyone who joined Upland, myself included. I thought it was play to earn. And I was like, oh, blockchain, I can earn something. Next thing I know, I actually have to drop $5 to move it up to Uplander so I don't lose. So I actually own what I have. But once you own it, you don't have to ever come back. You don't have to, you're talking about being a visitor. Once you hit Upland, you own whatever you have. And there's a lot of people that I've seen that leave especially the Chinatown group, they don't even come in until there's an event, and then they maximize their profits, and they're never to be seen again. And they're rarely on Discord. And what's happening in Upland, if you look at the sales of properties, which is out of control. I mean, there's the sticky part is people love buying properties because they can relate to a place in Brooklyn, and they don't even care if it makes money. And that happens quite a bit. And they're having record sales of properties by people who are not even in Discord, which means they figured out how to make a game that's sticky enough so it's game. It's not there yet, but arcades are coming out. Well, we're gonna have block explorers and decor shops and the dog pad. We're gonna have 6 companies there. So now we're gonna run companies. That's exciting for us. And it's exciting for the people who are gonna want to buy cars and things like that. So it has a ways to go, but they're on the right track with it. Like I said, and Dirk says this all the time, we're working at the gaming loops. It's totally for profit. They need to make money, but their goal is to create an economy that is run by the people and the players, and they can sit back and just collect just the taxes just to keep the game going and get their developers to give us more functionality. And so it is boring, but I bet if you're Uplander, I bet you will come back and check on your property in a few weeks or so, months or whatever, when there's more activity going on. That's the challenge for Uplift is, can they get, I mean, I don't know, they're not gonna have I don't know even if they have a Discord that's active, but can they get people who are coming in and want to stick around? And yeah, I don't know. We'll see what mechanisms are there to keep us interested. I know for sure for Upland, I'm sticking it out till the end because I see what they're offering, and at this point, you know, because I have so many friends over there now, really what comes to community, we keep talking about community, that it's just fun. And you know, I'm in a fiat out program, and you know, I literally I tried something out, which is I make enough UPIX on my yields to buy about 5 or 6 properties a day, and at executive level. So I'm like the 9th net worth holder in Upland. So I don't have to spend money. I don't spend cash at all. I just take my UPIX and I go mint some property, and then I turn around and sell it for fiat out just below mint, and it sells like that. I'm like, wow, I actually have a little bit of a revenue stream if I really wanted to. And that's pretty exciting. So they're triggering, doing all the right things, I think, over there. And, you know, and that's a good thing. And if we can figure out what are those successful game loops that can be applied to Uplift as well, then for sure we should consider investigating what those would be. But you're right, David. A lot of people don't come back. But what's funny is we always say, people say, I'm getting out of here. I'm sick of this game. This is bullshit. You know, this is a scam. I've already spent $500 on this, and why am I buying blue boxes? Right? And it's funny. We all go through that. I mean, there's, you know, when I first started playing, like, why am I spending $1,000? Why did I spend $3,000 on Trump Tower? Right? I'm like, why did I do that? You know. But then I'm realizing I did it because it was fun, and it supports the game, and it supports the development team, and eventually that property is going to, I could flip that property, and I could see that happening already. The property in New York that just sold for 23,000 US cash, that guy's still, you know, he's whipping through there, picking up. He knows how to pick up all the right properties. So that's an incentive for someone who wants to make a profit. But for me, it's not about profit. It's like, when can I get my NFTs in there and get my performers holding some jams and things like that? But you know, different strokes for different folks, I guess, based on what you're doing. What do you expect from a game?
You know, when I think about all the software or games or any activities other than maybe paid work, but even still then, everything has been because someone told me about it. Someone brought me in. Someone, you know, Max invited me to the Crown community meeting, right? I drove Nathan crazy until he started playing Alien Worlds. You know, and just looking around this Zoom group even, I can see the same, like how I met this one, how I met that one, who brought that one, right? And I think that's really what the Uplift has utilized to bring us in as different communities. And if you think about it, I think of in the community cluster building, there's 50 communities, and each one has their own community of at least 1,000 people. So just right there, the communities of the cluster members is pretty big, right? Now, I hear that the cluster will be creative mode so that we can bring in, you know, since it's already been in creative, and you know, there will be some in that area. It will be, you know, for us, essentially, right? But I think wherever it is, it's going to be because someone brings someone in, someone refers someone to it, and that's probably how they grow, and my guess.
That's all good stuff there, guys. I've been listening to the conversation while I catch up the end of my day, and I feel like I might be all caught up, so I can actually join conversation. But I know it's wrapping. But for what it's worth, I've been paying attention, and I feel like some very good points were made, and very lively conversation. I've appreciated it.
Nichiren, are you speaking? Because it looks like you're speaking, but we're not hearing you.
I was just going to say the same thing. Is he muted? It's the speaking, but not speaking.
No, it could be the speakers. Oh, okay, he got kicked out. He'll come right back in a bit.
Oh, I think he did. I think somebody was just saying, I didn't catch your name, my apologies, but the lively conversations, it's such an interesting tie-in to what we've all been saying. Isn't that what it's all about, right? Continuing to have these lively conversations. And like Uplando was saying, he hit the nail right on the head. It's all about having these conversations with each other, and that's what keeps the game alive. That's what's going to keep Uplift alive. Just like Uplando was saying, onboarding people, telling them how really great this is. Just come, experience it. And a lot of times, unfortunately, like I think Uplando was saying as well, you have a lot of the game developers who haven't even done that to the point where it's really easy to understand what a game is meant to do, how it's supposed to bring people together. And no, one of the guys was saying that, I feel like I'm a click whore. My apologies if I got that wrong. But it is that when you first come in, it's just like, well, I can't talk to anybody. There's nothing to do in here. I'm just floating around. And I remember when we were first playing, they didn't even mention the Discord. They didn't even mention Discord yet. Their entire community was being built on the Discord. And then after that, of course, with fan servers like Upland Nights, like Upland Fans Group, with Thank Me Later. And we're able to catch those people who were just like, I want to leave. I don't know what this is about, and it's not fun, and I don't know how to make money. And so it's those conversations that players are having with each other that's going to keep these games alive, keeping the community that is not necessarily a mechanism of the game, creating events, creating contests, creating pinball tournaments. We have a pinball tournament, we have a poker tournament, things like that. And just bringing everyone together to stay in the place that we believe in, but it's just not there yet.
I hope that as everyone has these events and activities that it's shared, we have some Telegram groups for DACathon, for Crown, my own Lisa's Coffee Shop in Crownlandia. So please, so when you have an event in Upland, is there a link that people attend, or how do you all meet up?
So Sipaku is like, it's what she's speaking about, and on these events, and to address what David had said about, oh man, it's just a click fest and you're just there to push buttons. The part of this that engaged me actually wasn't that. It was when I found the Discord server, and then all of a sudden I asked a question and a player literally took me, led me, onboarded me down the path. What that did was create a pay it forward situation where we created NFTs, took all the funds from the NFTs and re-injected that back into new player events. We would help players. Like David said, he got so frustrated by becoming an uplander. And I know that feeling. And I was there and all of my concerns, but then players taking me by the hand and leading me into that, and then watching, you know, that bloom into these NFTs and then starting to have interaction. The events, to what you're speaking about, there are players in the game that now host literally entire channels, servers and channels. And then Left House does a show, Upland Action News. He brings players on. And then we start to invite people in how to actually, there's more than just the in-world gameplay. It is a community of people. I can't tell you how much enjoyment I've got out of Sipaka's tours that they do. They've done tours for the lands and the cities that we play in. They just did a murderers tour. I know that sounds completely crazy, but we got to visit properties where of these movies and you know, sites of crime and things of this nature. But there's all that interactivity, and we all do it on, yes, Discord. And for those who don't like to be in a Discord chat room, we're looking to and have been spreading that out through all social media: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. All of these platforms are now talking about this. Forbes just did an article on it specifically highlighting Upland, and I really wish I would have had the opportunity to help David, because I want to be interacting with him in Uplift. That's part of why I do this, is to interact with other players and to find a commonality. And that's all that I was trying to get at is I really love what you guys, my interest in this was what you were going to do with the charitable part of that. What I do with my crypto group in Kansas City, Missouri, is we are donation only. We take that and we help burn victims. That's part of what we do, because it's something that is within what we can do and help people. The charity part is everything, and I really appreciate that. It's what my main interest is. But again, to go back to your question, it's community driven events, and Upland is so great about letting us do some of those things. So best wishes for that, and I cannot wait to see what Uplift has. I'm really excited about it. So there you have it.
He's back.
Still here. Sorry about
would
that,
like
guys.
to.
There you go.
I'd like to ask a question, like for the guys like who spend a lot of time in the virtual world. I read some science fiction anthologies about virtual realities, right? And there's the enthusiastic ones, and in science fiction, of course, there's always the social commentary. And I always think about them when I play in virtual worlds. And yeah, basically there's the aspect of interaction and engagement, right? And then there's always the possibility of completely like, how can I say that? So I think about that aspect, like completely leaving the real world, basically, and how that would affect me, and how can I, like, so if ever, like right now, it's, for example, it's difficult, like interaction with real people is kind of inhibited in the real world, so it's very easy to interact in the virtual world, and it's it's easy and it's fun and it's low friction, and it incentivizes just cutting off interactions in the real world, like it's happening to me. Making lots of new friends in the crypto and NFT space, and probably then next phase is like in the virtual world phase, like with Uplift, to build out my plots. So but I'm wondering, what are your experience about that for those that have been doing this for a long time, and have you, like, yeah, I'm just interested, right? Are
you worried we're going to become Ready Player One? Is that I waste some time. No, I'm a field archer. Okay, so I'm always going to be outside. Always going to be outside. I'm always going to prefer outside. I think that to speak to that, I've seen blind people become DJs in Second Life, and it was beautiful. I know people who have no mobility who join these worlds. I know Sir speaking, so I'm going to step back, but I think that there's a world, or these worlds really are a wonderful place for them. People like that, or even people who don't like to talk, they're just not social, but they want to be around people who are social.
Yeah, I was just trying to move my cat out of the way, actually, but yeah, your point is right. But we know people who are handicapped who get the feeling of dancing in Second Life. People are antisocial, that they can sit in front of in a crowd where people are talking or doing something and they can just listen, things like that. They'll come to Uplift. I missed some of what you said, David, about the virtual reality. Is anyone in here actually spent time or spend considerable time in VR? Actual VR, like with Oculus, Rift, or some other unit?
A lot of time, actually, and did a program with HoloLens in Indonesia to bring some of that craft and works that they did locally in their villages to people all over the world, to offer them the ability to buy a hand carved Buddha or paper from their pulp environment into journals and bring that forward, or their silks, to be able to see those things. But the fatigue of a virtual reality is real, and you can only spend so much time on it from your eyes of what it does. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that. So augmented reality is the next step, I think, for a lot of these games. But again, that's my experience with the VR and AR world.
I completely agree with that assessment. I'm obsessed with AR at the moment, and I would love to get a team together of people who want to work on it, because I personally would like that. I'd personally like to have a clear face shield that has some of the most important things I want to be watching around the edges, so I can go out and walk my dog and not miss a, message from a custodian or a notification I need to sign something or whatever, hopefully is like that in the future. But I don't think it should be that hard. What do you think, Tim?
The difficulty is the hardware. And again, the fatigue is real in a VR environment. In an AR environment, you can all participate, and you have the real world that you're not closed into a box. The fatigue is much less, and you spend twice as much time in an AR environment. That's the logical step, and I think people are going that way. To David's point about having that social interaction be cut off from the outside world, we have all been experiencing this pandemic and what it has done. I think this is why we've seen a boost in online activity, of course. Zoom, most people didn't even know what it was until now. We are all collaborating on it. If we all had AR glasses on right now, David or you would want to throw something up on a screen, we could all look to the top left and we would see it there. We could also see 3D modeling and rendering. And I think this is all going to be a part of it. And to the last point that I wanted to make about Uplift in the environment of where you have mining and the game part about that, Minecraft, I just love that aspect of it. And I hope that you guys take that and move forward with it. I have done, and if you haven't seen the Microsoft Minecraft 3D world that they did with the HoloLens, it's brilliant. And I think that it has a lot of capabilities. And I think you guys have a really, you've built this runway for something special. And I really hope that you guys can make something great with it. And I can't wait to participate in it. So yeah, either way, AR, VR, whatever.
Hey, you all are welcome in Crownlandia. Anyway, anytime. We have a saying, there's a place for you in Crownlandia. Now, granted, it's a town in our imagination, but but I would love to immediately start on a HoloLens project for Crownlandia if you have any interest.
So I have about 5 minutes left. I have to jump on another call. But I spend a lot of time in virtual reality. I've been in there for about 3 years, and I agree with what you said, Tim. It can be very exhausting. And I just got the Oculus Quest 2, so it wouldn't be so exhausting. Part of the exhaustion is, man, do I have to go reach over there, grab that helmet and adjust it and make sure my cables are working, and I have to load up the program. And then after being in there for a while, maybe I have my eyes not set correctly, my lenses correctly, and I get sick, things like that. And you kind of get over all that, but it gets tiring. With the Oculus Quest 2, I can tell you I spend a lot more time because I can just reach over right here and put it on my head, hit a button, and it brings me right in. So that technology has really pushed a lot of people into VR, and it's a crowded world out there, and it's a lot of fun. Tilt Brush, if you're going to Tilt Brush in VR, artists are moving into Tilt Brush to recreate some of their art and exporting it as 3D animated NFTs. And some of the stuff they're doing it's very creative. There's a lot of creative communities out there that are in virtual reality, but you're right, there's an exhaustion to it. And also there's a battery issue too. I mean, with an Oculus Quest, you got to get an external battery to even go for 9 hours or 10 hours straight, which is what I usually end up doing. And so but it is tiring, but it's not going to go away. And AR probably would be less tiring, but it's just going to be another wonderful, fertile area to go screw around in as well.
Wow, what an exciting conversation. Thank you so much for offering to do the session and for everyone joining to share their stories. It's going to be so exciting to watch and see what engagement opportunities we're going to get to participate in from each of your endeavors. So thank you so much for taking the time. Before we stop the recording, does anyone want to add any final words?
Thank you, Hooks. That was amazing. I cannot wait to see what you guys have in store. Thank you, everyone in Uplift. Lisa, David, all of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I'll say the same.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
for having me.
everybody.